One might compare the relation of the ego to the id with that between a rider and his horse. The pleasure of satisfying a savage instinct, undomesticated by the ego, is incomparably much more intense than the one of satisfying a tamed instinct. The ego refuses to be distressed by the provocations of reality, to let itself be compelled to suffer. The voice of the intellect is a soft one, but it does not rest until it has gained a hearing. The ego is not master in its own house. Words are capable of arousing the strongest emotions and prompting all men's actions. Neurotics complain of their illness, but they make the most of it, and when it comes to taking it away from them they will defend it like a lioness her young. In the depths of my heart, I can't help being convinced that my dear fellow men, with a few exceptions, are worthless. Life, as we find it, is too hard for us. It brings us too many pains, disappointments and impossible tasks. Religion is a system of wishful illusions together with a disavowal of reality. Everywhere I go I find a poet has been there before me. When making a decision of minor importance, I have always found it advantageous to consider all the pros and cons. He does not believe that does not live according to his belief. Religion is an attempt to get control over the sensory world, in which we are placed, by means of the wish world, which we have developed inside us as a result of biological and psychological necessities. It is that we are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love, never so helplessly unhappy as when we have lost our loved object or its love. Words have a magical power. They can bring either the greatest happiness or deepest despair. It is impossible to escape the impression that people commonly use false standards of measurement. Future ages will produce further great advances in this realm of culture, probably inconceivable now, and will increase man's likeness to a god still more. Experience teaches us that the world is not a nursery. A woman should soften but not weaken a man. Where does a thought go when it's forgotten? We are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. I cannot think of any need in childhood as strong as the need for a father's protection. We are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love. The intention that man should be happy is not in the plan of creation. He that has eyes to see and ears to hear may convince himself that no mortal can keep a secret. If his lips are silent, he chatters with his fingertips, betrayal oozes out of him at every pore. The great question that has never been answered, and which I have not yet been able to answer, despite my 30 years of research into the feminine soul, is what does a woman want? One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. Just as no one can be forced into belief, so no one can be forced into unbelief.